In the quiet space between ambition and affection, a single question echoes through the life of CEO James: love or career? He was once a man who had it all: wealth, a flourishing company, the respect of colleagues, and the admiration of society. Yet, behind the glossy facade of corporate triumph stood a private dilemma that no business strategy could solve. His love for Tú Diep, a woman marked by hardship, resilience, and scars from a turbulent past, would soon test the limits of loyalty, reputation, and sacrifice. Whispers abroad, far away, in a boardroom bathed in the sterile light of another country, James's father, Mr. Hone, was conducting a high-stakes negotiation. He had built his empire with an iron hand, his reputation polished like a shield. The meeting was proceeding as planned until one partner, perhaps emboldened by wine and candor, raised a subject no father wished to hear in such a setting. Mr. Hone, a good leader like you, why would you allow your son to entangle himself in such a relationship? With a woman already married once, and with a child? Surely, this threatens the image of your family and your company. The words fell like stones into still water, their ripples tightening around the proud businessman's heart. Mr. Hone's face hardened. For a man who thrived on appearances and alliances, the thought of his son's private life staining the company's name was intolerable. That night, with barely restrained anger, he called home. His wife answered, balancing her duties in their absence. You must come abroad immediately, he urged. Arrange your affairs and join me. We cannot allow James to continue down this reckless path. But Mrs. Hone, though gentle in tone, stood firm. He is old enough to decide his own life. I trust his judgment. The call ended in silence, each parent tethered to a different vision of their son's future. One dictated by honor, the other by faith in love. A thunderbolt at the cafe. Meanwhile, James worked tirelessly at his company, unaware of the storm gathering against him. To him, life still revolved around projects, strategies, and numbers, until a fateful afternoon changed everything. He had arranged to meet a trusted subordinate at a quiet coffee shop. The conversation began casually, but soon his colleague's expression grew somber. Lowering his voice as if the walls themselves might betray him, he delivered the blow. Mr. James, from today, we can no longer follow your instructions. Your father has issued an official order. All decisions must await his approval. You are suspended from the company. The words struck like lightning. James gripped his glass, stunned. His own father had cut him off, not with warning, but with the finality of exile. His chest tightened with betrayal. Yet beneath the ache, a new clarity began to dawn. The battle ahead was no longer about corporate control. It was about the right to live freely, to choose love over duty, and to protect Tú Diệp and NHI at any cost. The confession at home. Driving through streets blurred by neon and noise, James returned home, the weight of disinheritance heavy on his shoulders. His mother, folding laundry in the living room, looked up in surprise. "Why are you home so early? Is work finished already?" For a long moment, James sat silent, before confessing. His father had stripped him of authority. His career, everything he had built, was now controlled from afar. His mother froze, the fabric slipping through her fingers. She had tried to reason with Mr. Hone, she explained, but his stubborn pride was immovable. Still, she reminded James of one truth. The road ahead would be hard, but love had its own kind of power. James smiled faintly, determination flickering in his eyes. If I lose the company but keep the person I love, then it is not a loss. Love in the rain. That evening, under a drizzle that blurred the city lights, James walked into Tú Diep's modest home. She was clearing the table after dinner, while young NHI bent over her homework, humming softly. James, still damp from the rain, took Diep's hand. His voice carried both exhaustion and resolve. I've been dismissed. I no longer run the company. Tears welled in Diep's eyes. James, don't lose your career because of me and my child. I don't want to become your burden, but James tightened his grip. You are not a burden. You are my reason to keep fighting. I don't want to live a life dictated by others. I want to live for myself, for us. At that moment, NHI rushed over and wrapped her small arms around him. I want Uncle James to be with me and Mom, she whispered. Diep's tears spilled freely as she leaned against James's shoulder, the three of them bound in a silence warmer than words. A father's warning. Later that night, James picked up the phone and dialed his father. The line rang long before Mr. Hone finally answered. Father, I know you want what's best for me. But I love Diep. If the company won't allow me the freedom to choose my own life, then I will start over from scratch. A pause. Then a voice, low and edged with steel. You will regret this, James. The world is not as easy as you think. But James did not falter. I am ready to face it. I only ask one thing. Don't harm Diep and NHI. The silence that followed was heavier than words. Packing away the past, at dawn, James returned to the company for the last time. The long hallways echoed with his footsteps as employees avoided his gaze, pity clouding their eyes. He gathered his belongings into a small suitcase, symbols of a career dismantled not by failure, but by love's defiance. Walking out of the building, his steps were slow, but his eyes burned with determination. He was free, not in the way he had once imagined, but in a way that mattered far more. A new beginning. When James reached Tú Diep's door, he knocked gently. She opened it, eyes red from tears, and there he stood with a small suitcase and a faint smile. "I'm free now," he said softly. "I'll rebuild everything from scratch, as long as I have you and NHI by my side." Deep collapsed into his arms, her sobs mixing with laughter. NHI, radiant and unafraid, ran to embrace them both. For the first time in a long while, the air was filled not with fear or sorrow, but with the fragile warmth of hope. In that moment, they were no longer a man cut off from his empire, a woman haunted by her past, and a child longing for love. They were a family, beginning anew.